Jeff, you see this as tone setting, or do you think that there's legit haters of the Jets around the league?
No. For sure, if it's not tone setting, it's lack of self-awareness. Because very clearly, a lot of people are picking the Jets to be. I mean, like people like you, Alan. No, I'm kidding. You're one of the big homers of the Jets. Look, I think that the Jets should be doing this. I actually like this side of Aaron Rodgers. I like the Aaron Rodgers that is the team against the world as opposed to me against the world. I think that is actually a very good thing for the New York Jets. And ultimately, he's done the things this training camp to show that he's been a team player. So whatever he has to say is fine as long as it is galvanizing the team and not just himself.
Okay, one of the biggest homers, but not certainly the biggest sits in this chair that I am occupying right now on a regular basis. D. Wood, though, you've been to Florham Park, to the training center. You've been around there. You obviously play for the Jets as well. Do they have some type of feeling within those walls that no one believes in us? I mean, what is this about from Rodgers?
No, it's the key word I use, energy. Energy. You know, Aaron Rodgers brings a totally different energy to the ball club, and the energy, and what I mean by that is the belief. There's nothing more debilitating when you go into a game knowing that my guy at the quarterback position can't match up with the opposition quarterback. Yeah. It leaves you in a different place, and we saw that last year time and time again, where you saw the defense, you know, go out there, play great football, but just offensively they couldn't get it done. Now you enter Aaron Rodgers into the equation. You know that you have a guy. My dog can go up against your dog week in and week out. That's the way the guys in that building feel right now, is that we feel we can win every single week. It's unlike, you know, my time in New England when I played with Tom Brady. Every week we felt like we should win the ball game. Mm-hmm. That's the way those guys feel right now when they have Aaron Rodgers under center.
You know how that feels. Nick, do you have any recollection of feeling that way? We have a guy and we can win no matter what with this guy?
No, it must be nice. It must be nice. I think that there's a double-edged sword to it because the pressure is ratcheted up for the players because they know that they're going to be in every game. But also the pressure is taken off a bit where it does feel like you could give up a touchdown or two. You might be able to make a mistake every now and then because as long as you're within striking distance, which you're probably going to be in the fourth quarter, you have confidence that they're going to get it done. I've been on teams before that when you start the game, before you start the game, the linebacker on the team or a safety, some sort of leader on the team says to our defense, if they don't score, they can't win. And that's a tough way to go into a game mentally feeling like the Jets probably felt for much of last year. We got to keep them from scoring in order for us to win. It probably feels a lot better to walk out there and say, we can make some mistakes here and there. Don't worry about it. 8's going to clean it up for us.
But you know what, though? But his presence...
Y'all laughing too much. I don't like it.
His presence, though, with this organization has been galvanizing from the inside, clearly, but also, you know, again, by how they're being perceived. I mean, this doesn't feel like same old Jets anymore, but the only major change was Aaron Rodgers. Is he more than just a quarterback, Neek, for this team?
Absolutely. I mean, he feels like he's the owner, the mascot, the quarterback, the god, everything about them on Hard Knocks. The most awkward thing about it, and I'm not saying, it's no judgment on him, I would feel the same way, but the most awkward thing about Hard Knocks is everyone's talking about Aaron Rodgers like he is some sort of deity. You saw Randall Cobb telling the receivers what they got to do to make Aaron happy. I've never seen that before in any team. You saw how giddy Robert Saleh was when they were just going to play him for a preseason game. It's a weird situation. It's rare. You see it every now and then, like when Tom Brady went down to Tampa. I imagine those guys felt the same way. But it's unique when you have a future Hall of Famer on your roster and he just showed up. I think it changes the way everybody feels, and it kind of refocuses them. I'm sure the guys are preparing this year a lot harder than they ever had before because they know they have a chance.
You know, Jeff, when we think about Aaron Rodgers and what we used to perceive him as when he was in Green Bay, and I mean, Neek referenced it, right? It's instead, or maybe you did. It was, you know, instead of it being it's Jets versus the world instead of me versus the world. You know, I believe it was you that referenced it. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it feels like he's a different person than who we thought he was, or has he just changed? What is the difference in Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay versus in Gangrene?
I don't think he's a different person per se. I think environment can change things, can create new motivations, and maybe just a new attitude in general. With him, one of the things that interested me is recently when he was talking about Mekhi Becton, the right tackle, basically saying that this is a guy that has had such a good few weeks, or really the entire training camp, that he's wrapped his arms around Mekhi Becton and said, I'm going to show this guy the love that he needs to motivate him. That's straight out of the Tom Brady toolbook. Find a guy who has otherworldly talent, maybe is lacking that extra level for whatever reason, some kind of self-esteem, whatever it is, and wrap your arms around him and make him your guy. Tom Brady used to do that all the time. I don't think that I remember that necessarily being Aaron Rodgers' go-to move when he was with the Packers. He's doing that now. I think that could go a very, very long way for this Jets team.
He would put a bow on this conversation with the Jets and with Aaron Rodgers and our expectations.
Expectations are high. I mean, listen, what Jeff was talking about is absolutely true. You're seeing a lot of that with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what the deal was in Green Bay, but I'm just telling you right now with the Jets, those are the type of things he's doing with guys within the organization, and that helps you a long way as far as the trust and camaraderie you're trying to build with one another. That's why those guys speak so glowingly of Aaron Rodgers over there.
After Jalen Hurts led the Eagles to the Super Bowl last season, he came in ranked number 2 on ESPN's top 10 quarterback list. Number 2 in the league. Now, he had plenty of clutch moments, led all quarterbacks in fourth quarter QBR last season. But let's do some change my mind here. Because there's no way Jalen Hurts is the second best quarterback in the NFL. And I don't want to be that guy, but somebody's got to. He's fantastic. He's a great human being. They found their quarterback. He proved it last year. But how can we possibly put him ahead of so many others that have accomplished in multiple years ahead of what he's done in 1 year? And then we throw around superstar. This is an NBA conversation, but I'm going to bring it anyway. To call him a superstar, we needed him to prove it last year. He did. But now you've got to do it year after year, and an MVP and a Super Bowl. Those are the kind of things that make you a superstar. My opinion. Nick, change my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the amount of money he's getting paid, he's certainly up there with the top quarterbacks in football. And if you go on the last season, so I think you're probably right if you need to do it back to back to back before you go up in the Mahomes class of football players. But if you go off of last year, there was nobody in the league who was much better than Jalen Hurts. He was among the best. He would have won the MVP if he could have played the final few games of the season. So Jalen Hurts, I think, is on a superstar trajectory. I guess it's a bit subjective, but after what I saw him do in the Super Bowl, with the exception of that one fumble, that looked like a superstar to me.
Yeah, okay. So on the trajectory, I'll give you. But Darlington, and something that Neek said about the contract, and obviously $50 million a year, that's star kind of money. But I'll quote Jalen Hurts himself in Sports Illustrated. He said, money is nice, but championships are better. Doesn't it kind of take that step before we start labeling a player a superstar?
Who's labeling him a superstar, Alan? I feel like you're projecting on him right now.
No. When you put somebody at number 2 among players, among quarterbacks in this league, with the quarterbacks that we have, that's superstar status. If you're the second best quarterback in the NFL in any year, you're a superstar. I don't know if he's there yet.
Okay, so what I would say to that is that I first of all, I think that he is definitely a budding superstar. Star, sure, where we draw the line on that. Patrick Mahomes went through sort of the same thing. Unless a guy comes out of college, and Jalen Hurts did to a very slight degree, not really, we knew his name, but unless a guy comes out with those massive expectations, it takes him a little bit longer to kind of knock down that door of becoming a true superstar. I'm completely with you. I think it is an overreaction to last season to say that he is the second best quarterback. He deserves all the praise in the world for what he accomplished, but we should not forget guys who have done it year after year. And by the way, Joe Burrow, a young guy who hasn't necessarily done it for too many years, but he's still done it for more than Hurts at this point. So I'm with you there. He's not number 2. He's not necessarily a superstar, but he is certainly on his way.
All right, I'm 2 for 2 so far, D-Wood. You with me? Can I get a hat trick?
Yeah, I mean, listen, just to have, there's a lot of recency bias, when it comes to that list, right? You saw Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl, and you could make a case that Jalen Hurts was the best player on the field in that Super Bowl. That's how outstanding he was on the biggest of stage. But I think to say that Jalen Hurts is the number 2, the second best quarterback in the league, I think it's pushing a little bit too far right now. I mean, me personally, I would take Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. You know, those guys over Jalen Hurts right there. And that's not knocking what the accomplishments of Jalen Hurts and where I think Jalen Hurts is going to be. But I think in this kind of sports landscape that we're in, everything happens
microwave.
Everything is microwave. Everything happens so fast. It's just like, guys, can we just let guys continue to build and continue to build their resume? And I think that's what Jalen Hurts is doing right now.
Yeah, and we always have to preface it too, because it's not like, we're not trying to hate on Jalen Hurts, and that's not what it's about. It's more about where
I'm switching.
He's starting
He's
to
a superstar.
Well, no, you just
I
want
changed
to say
my mind.
he's a superstar.
I was listening to you guys. Listening to you. No, you guys
want to fight it.
Sound like a bunch of old-ass haters.
See, no,
I changed my mind.
Too late. You're on the
superstar.
record. You're on my
Superstar
side.
Hurts.
He's got to
Got on
do
my
it at
Eagles
least
green.
one more year. You know what you got to do? Here's what you got to do, Jalen Hurts. Do something that hasn't been done in 20 years. Win the division in back-to-back years. That hasn't been done in 20 years. Do that. Keep winning. Consistency of it, and then you can be elevated to that status. That's all it's going to take.
You know what's crazy? What's crazy is I knew Dominic was going to change his mind. As soon as Jeff Darlington started saying, and then I say, I knew, I'm like, Dominic is going to come back and it's going to refute and rebut everything that everybody
The ultimate contrarian. That's what we love about him.
I'm with Nick.
Yeah, Jeff.
Flip-flopping on me as
Superstar
well.
Hurts team over here.
Matthew Stafford in Dallas. Darlington's already laughing, so yes, you are next, Jeff, but Neek. Stafford to the Cowboys?
Well, I mean, you don't want to send him to a place that already has a quarterback. And I know he grew up in Dallas and he grew up rooting for the Cowboys, but that's no longer his hometown. We got to send him to his new hometown, which also has a great offensive line. Send him back to Detroit and make Dan Orlovsky the quarterback coach. There we go. They can both go back to Detroit and bring them a title because they have a team that is on the verge. And Jared Goff had a good year last year, but he's not as good as Matt Stafford at his best. So there it is. Send him to Detroit.
I tell you what, though, I don't hate that at all. But we asked everybody here on the panel, so let's take a look at the picks that we have for everybody. Wow, okay. We got the Dolphins, who D. Wood and I both think make sense. And Jeff Darlington, what is that? Just nobody for Jeff Darlington. Matthew Stafford should be traded nowhere or should just not play anymore.
I want to be careful with this. I'm not saying that he shouldn't if he wants to, but it feels to me like he's young. He's 35 years old. He could continue to play, but doesn't it feel maybe like we're getting closer to the end of Matt Stafford's career? Maybe he should just play it out with the Rams and move on. Like he had trouble staying healthy last year. It wasn't the greatest when he was in 10 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I don't know why Neek wants to do that to Jared Goff again. Stafford just walking in and taking his job again, unrightfully so.
All right.
I love when Greeny, so talented as a host, says something and makes it sound so provocative when it's so ridiculous. No, he should not go to Dallas. No.
But he should. But the Miami thing is not that crazy, though. By the time, just quickly here, Miami, by the time the Rams might go into sell mode, they'll know Tua could be already in trouble. That would be the time for Miami to do something with all the weapons that they have, considering the AFC, considering their division. D-Wood, you and I agreed on Miami. That's one that would make sense for Chris Grier to look into. And I know, Jeff, that you're shaking your head at this, but D-Wood, don't you think?
Can I just say that we really need the season to hurry up? Like, seriously, I need football games now, okay? I really do. I need football games, okay? Because now we're sitting here, we're talking about crazy scenarios and stuff like that. Yes, I said the Miami Dolphins, but please, can next Thursday come so we can actually talk about some real football around here?
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.